Hello, it got the sparkly jacket, so it must have been the most recent thing. We must have just had a sparkle session. I am actually planning to wear the jacket out to a DJ night on Saturday, so it does get other outings. But anyway, I was delighted to welcome my speaker, Laurence Paquette, and this is a really short roundup of the key themes. We had a really good, what I really liked about today's session is we had a really nice discussion. There were about I think 11 or 12 of us in the room, and it became more of a discussion than a Q&A, which I really enjoyed, and we had some really lovely observations and questions from the group. So the my three things that are really staying with me after today's Sparkle session are what Laurence said about let them, and Mel Robbins' idea of let them. So lovely Catherine raised this because she was thinking about it based on what was being said, and that's the idea that it's not really our business or our problem what other people think of us. And if someone disagrees with our content, even if trolls come take the floor to disagree with us and our content, that shouldn't stop us from sharing our perspective and sharing our voice. And Charlie put it really beautifully when she said strangers shouldn't get to silence us, which I absolutely agree with. And one of the things that Laurence shared was about how she found it really stressful at first. She found it really stressful at first sharing her thoughts and her opinions, and she was worried about what her colleagues and what people in her corporate environment would think about it. She was also worried about what people outside that would think about it, but that by doing it, by practicing and by keeping on doing it, it got less and less scary. It got easier. But that leads me on really nicely to my second point, which is that I absolutely agree with that we need to do it. We need to get more, we need to practice speaking up and sharing our voices and our opinions. And yet it is the fear of people not liking us, the fear of being criticised is real. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist, and none of us in the room would get behind the idea that we should push ourselves and be unkind to ourselves about it and criticise ourselves for being worried about what other people think or not, or wanting to be liked by others. Instead, the way to deal with it is to take small steps. So Laurence shared how when she first shared an article on LinkedIn, so in the early days her content was all written. She started off by writing articles and sharing things like that on LinkedIn. The first time she shared and hit publish, she was really stressed about it. She kept checking to see if there are any likes or responses or what people thought. And I think we all recognise that, and especially when we're building businesses that rely on us sharing what we do, our expertise, what we know works. We all recognise that feeling of, is anyone listening? Does anyone care? Is this useful to people? And Laurence shared that it got easier in time. And then, even though she'd got comfortable with sharing written content, when she then decided to start making videos with a nudge from her business coach, she went through the same cycle of feeling stressed again. So just because you've done it on one medium or in one way, it doesn't mean you're also automatically fine with doing it in other ways and other mediums. So that is a normal part of the process. And actually what I would say, with my Sparkle Coach hat on, is that's one of the things that I love working with clients on, is helping to build the habit and helping to nudge enough out of our comfort zone so that we keep moving without overwhelming and overloading ourselves. Right, so third takeaway was about how we use our privilege. Laurence said something that really resonated with everyone in the group. We had a few comments on it. She said that she started doing this once she'd got to the role of vice president in her company, because she felt much more comfortable, and she felt that she could say things, she could share opinion, and she wasn't going to be penalised in her career. And yet if she'd tried doing that 6 or 7 years earlier, it would have been penalised by colleagues and in her career. So she said it was really important for her to use her privilege, now she'd got to a point in her career where she could speak out more, to help role model those who are back where she was, who don't have that privilege, of being able to speak out so freely and not have it affect or potentially penalise or damage their careers. And that's such an important, I think that's such an important motivator. When we're going to do something scary, like put ourselves out there, we need to have pretty strong motivation to help keep us coming back to it. And whatever motivation is important to you matters. You don't necessarily have to have the same motivation as anyone else. But I think for many of us who are purpose-led, the idea of using our privilege to role model to those, people who were where we were 5 or 10 years ago, those who are younger, those who are struggling with things that we've got experience of, if we can be the kind of role model for them that we would have wanted at their age or when we're in their point in their career, that's a really strong motivator. So that's my highlights. If you want to hear more, follow me for more updates and time when we've got the date of the next Sparkle session.